What's going on, YouTube? Today, I don't feel really good at all. I feel real sick, but I wanted to get a video out to you guys. Now, with the NFL season officially being over and now we're about to head into the playoffs, it only means one thing. Coaches are now going to get fired. So I'm going to just break down who I think should get fired or who should get hired. Next, I want to talk about the Detroit Lions, specifically their coordinators. Dan Campbell has really motivated this team throughout the season, but you got to give a lot of credit to the coordinators as well. You have Ben Johnson, and I believe his name is Aaron Glenn, I believe, the defensive coordinator for the Lions. Both of them are really good, but both of them are getting job offers for other teams. So for Detroit, I think they need to win the Super Bowl this year. It's a must need because if you don't win it this year, you're in a situation where you're probably going to lose your offensive coordinator, you're going to lose your defensive coordinator, and I don't know if this team is really good without those two. I don't know because those two have produced by far one of the best offenses and best defenses to the point where they're both getting job offers. So it's crazy. And I'm going to start with Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson, he seems like a competitive spirit. There was talks about him going to coach the Bears. By all means, you can do that. Matt Eberflus as well, I forgot to mention, he got fired from the Bears as well. So they have a job offer open. Ben, I wouldn't be surprised if he took it just so he can like compete with the Lions. But the team I think he should go to is the Bengals. I think Zach Taylor, for one, is gonna get fired for sure. Simply because you had Joe Burrow, you had Jamar Chase, you had Trey Hendrickson, and if they made the playoffs, it would have kept Zach Taylor's job. So maybe in a way, not making the playoffs will help them by firing their head coach and picking up a Ben Johnson type coach. And for Aaron Glenn, I think I don't know much about his situation, but a name that's been brought up is the New Orleans Saints. That team, they have a lot better of a defense than an offense, and Aaron Glenn's a very defensive oriented type player and coach. I say player because he was a former NFL player, and funny enough, he played for the New Orleans Saints, I believe his last year in the NFL. So he has ties to them, and he also was a coordinator for them a while back. So I think it's just the best fit for him to go back to New Orleans. And pretty much that for Detroit. I think they need to win the Super Bowl this year because if they don't, I think they're going to lose some very key pieces in their coordinators. You have names like Robert Saleh, who formerly was the head coach of the Jets and got fired. You have names like Dennis Allen, who got fired for coaching the Saints. And then you have the oddest one and most recent one, Jerod Mayo, for winning the last game of the season. My prediction for why he lost his job is mainly because winning the game cost them the number one pick. But I guess in a way it's weird because I don't think whether the Patriots had the first pick or the third pick, I don't think they were drafting a quarterback at all. I don't think there was a need, whether they had the first pick or second, for drafting that high a non-quarterback. I think it's fine. The whole game plan, I'm assuming, is Travis Hunter is going to be a Patriot. And with that being said, the two teams that have picks ahead of them, the Browns and Titans, they're aiming for quarterbacks. So I don't know why they're upset at Jerod Mayo for this. And yeah, it's weird. And if you're going to fire him, I would have assumed you would have just moved him to defensive coordinator. He still has ties with the team, so it's just weird. I don't know why they did it. And obviously, if you're going to fire Jerod Mayo, you need a good backup. And I think the best backup option for the Patriots right now is Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel has a lot of ties to New England. He's currently a coach. He's a former coach of multiple teams. He's not that bad of a coach. I keep saying coach. And on top of that, he played for the New England Patriots. So it's not like they're getting a completely random guy. He's actually got ties with them. He played with them back with Brady. He's done a lot for the organization, and I think the fans, the team themselves, would love to have Mike Vrabel as a coach, and I think Mike Vrabel would love to be the coach of the Patriots. Talk about teams that I do think are going to fire their head coaches are names like, for starters, the Browns. Kevin Stefanski. I don't know if he's really done enough to keep his job there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got fired. Another name that strikes me is Brian Dable, the head coach of the Giants. I I think they'll keep him, but I wouldn't be surprised if they fired him, mainly because of the fact that they've just always underperformed. Now, I do blame them as well for making decisions on drafts and the pay with players like Daniel Jones. You paid him way too much money, and now he is on the Vikings as a backup. So you really just lost in that situation, and I wouldn't be surprised if he lost his job. Another name that strikes me as someone that might get fired is probably, in my opinion, Doug Peterson, coach of the Jaguars. I don't know if he'll get fired, but I think he will, based off the fact that you've had high picks in the past, and people always talk about what you did in Philadelphia years back, winning the Super Bowl. That was years ago. You're not bringing that success to Jacksonville. So, and I think whether you like Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback or not, he's a lot better of a quarterback than a lot of other players. So I think the fact that you haven't utilized him and brought more success to this team, I think it's going to backfire, and I think he's going to get fired. I think Doug Peterson will get fired. Lastly, for my final two teams that I think they might fire their coach, or not might, but just names to be considered. One, Mike McCarthy. I think we need to address the elephant in the room with them. I'm going to be honest, I don't think he's going to get fired. A lot of, like, if you watch ESPN, a lot of the people think he's going to get fired. I don't. I think he's doing just enough for them to keep him. I mean, he's got enough wins to keep the Cowboys in the media. Every single week, ESPN loves talking about the Cowboys, Cowboys, Cowboys. Well, if he wasn't getting them any wins, I can see them firing him. But another big reason is Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, he's got an ego bigger than the organization. He will not allow a head coach in this franchise that has a bigger name than him. So, for example, Deion Sanders, people, like, during midseason when Cowboys were landing around a pick that could have gotten Shedeur Sanders, people were like, oh, they're going to get him and Deion's going to coach. No. Deion will never go coach the Cowboys as long as you have Jerry Jones there as the general manager and owner. He's just got too big of an ego, and he's not going to allow anyone with a bigger name than his to coach it. So I don't think Mike McCarthy will leave. He's doing just enough to keep the Cowboys in enough of the media. And the last name I want to get to is Kyle Shanahan. Now, as a 49ers fan myself, I don't think we should let him go this year because of the fact injuries have cost us this year. But I see on Instagram, I see social media, I see everywhere there is a 49ers comment about should Kyle Shanahan get fired or not. And it bothers me reading the comment sections where they're like, you're not a real 49ers fan, you're just a casual if you think they're going to fire Kyle Shanahan. I'm going to use Kyle Shanahan in the same way as Doug Peterson. Kyle Shanahan, he's such a good offensive mastermind. He is clearly good at the run game. He's a great coach. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. The reason I don't know if he'll stay or go, I think he will, but definitely for it to be in the conversation, is because of the fact that he's brought us so many appearances to the Super Bowl. What do we have to show for it? Now, it's a huge flex to say we've made it to NFC championships and Super Bowl appearances. The Dallas Cowboys haven't since the 1990s. Have they won a Super Bowl more recently than us? Yes. But that doesn't matter if you can't still succeed past that 1 year. So for us, we're seeing the success. We're just not seeing the glory. Now, Detroit, they've never made a Super Bowl, while we have, but the difference is their standards can be different from ours. The 49ers, their standards are a lot different from like a Giants type team. The Giants, whenever they get a new coach, their job is just win at least 3 games, aim for 3 wins on the season. The 49ers' expectations every single year has been win the Super Bowl. You had Trey Lance as your quarterback. The expectations were Super Bowl or bust. You had Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback. Super Bowl or bust. You have Brock Purdy as your quarterback. Whether you like him or not, the expectations were Super Bowl or bust. You had Colin Kaepernick and Jim Harbaugh, and their expectations were still Super Bowl or bust. You have to have something to show for all the success we have, and Kyle Shanahan hasn't done that. I love the man. I think he will stay because he's great, but he needs help. And I think this is where I'm going to tie in Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh has formerly been our defensive coordinator. I think he will help severely. I think we should bring him back. He doesn't have a major job right now. I think he's like a cornerback coach for the Packers. I think we can easily get him back as defensive coordinator over Nick Sorensen, as well as getting a new special teams coordinator. I'm not going to act like I know anything about special teams. I could care less, but we rank very low in it. So I think getting a new coordinator would help severely. And I know Kyle Shanahan, the way he coaches, he kind of works as an offensive coordinator in a way. But I think you should also look for an offensive coordinator, because take a little bit of the weight off Shanahan, because then whenever we don't succeed, Shanahan's going to be the one we fully blame. I want him to keep his job. I think he will keep his job. But don't call a fan a casual because a coach hasn't brought success to them with the type of talent they have around him. They're working with bad quarterbacks, and he's turning them into Super Bowl contenders. But we have nothing to show for it. So I don't care if we can appear in the Super Bowl 20 times. If we're appearing in the Super Bowl 20 times and we've lost 20 times, that's not a flex. That's just sad. So, Kyle Shanahan, you're going to need to start bringing in more success here. Because I don't even think he's won a Coach of the Year with us. So, it's still not looking good for him. But I think he'll stay regardless. That's going to be all for today's video. Like I said, I'm not feeling the best right now. But I wanted to get a video out to you quick, especially because I know once regular season ends, they immediately make all these fires and hirings, or I guess major firings. So I just wanted to get this out as soon as I can. I guarantee you by the time you're watching this, there's probably something that I said in this video that came true or false, but I don't know. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like. Obviously, it helps me a lot. Make sure you're watching all my other videos. That helps, spread the word. Share the video with your friends. That helps. And subscribe if you like content like this. It's been fun. See you guys in the next video.